Hey everybody, we are back with solutions to absolute values with inequalities. So if you watched my last video on the best way to solve absolute value, you will remember perhaps how I did a specific setup. I'm going to follow that again. But before we do, I have another reason why I set things up the way I do. And we have to have a brief discussion about which thing has more calories. Is it a sandwich? Or is it a banana split? If you are me, you do make a pretty big sandwich. But let's face it, banana split's always going to be bigger, okay? So if you see a less than symbol, thing that has less calories would be a sandwich. And if you see a greater than symbol, it has more calories, it's a banana split, we are going to split it, okay? So I'm double checking what kind of problem we have here. It says solve and graph, and right there, I see that less than symbol. So I'm going to set up a sandwich. Watch. Here we have the meat of the sandwich. It is my 3x plus 5. And I'm remembering that if I take the absolute value of something that's negative, I get a positive. And so over here, I'm throwing down the negative version of my problem. And over here, I'm going to try, well, what would happen if I had the positive version of my problem? Now, you maybe never seen somebody use a property of equality when there was more than one equality on a line. I have this plus 5 here, and I'm going to minus it 1, 2, 3 times. And when I'm done, negative 10 minus 5, you owe somebody $10, and then you owe them another $5, so you owe them $15. Is going to be less than 3x. These were opposites, and they're gone now. Is less than 10 minus 5 is 5. Now, sometimes when you do these problems, you get a whole number, and honestly, that's because your teacher was being nice to you. They gave you whole numbers on purpose. Try and make it look easier. I'm not going to be that nice here. This problem, it looks like 15 divided by 3 is a whole number. It's negative 5. And x is less than, what the heck is that? 5/3? That is 1 2/3. Now, I'm not done graphing it yet. I want to think about where I'm going to graph it. Now, the thing is about a sandwich, which I think you're going to like, is the fact that I already know, because I determined that it was a sandwich, that all of my values should fall between my endpoints here, the bread of my sandwich. 1 2/3 is one side, and negative 5 is the other side. Ta-da! That's how you graph it. You're like, you know what? You did that really fast. I'm not sure I believe you. Okay, so let's check something. Let's try a value. And I'm going to say, why not try 0? It's right there on the number line. It's inside of my sandwich. And I'm hoping that if I plug it in, I will get a value that is true. If it is true, then I have found the correct solution. Ready? The absolute value of 3 times 0. Actually, let me put parentheses around that 0. Plus 5 is less than or equal to 10. And I'm checking to see, is that true? Well, 3 times 0 is 0. And 0 plus 5 is 5. And if I take the absolute value of 5, what do I get? I get 5. Is 5 less than 10? Indeed it is. Check. So I have definitely found my solution. Now let's go back to the split. Here's one I have set up for us. Solve and graph 8 plus x. The absolute value of that needs to be greater than 11. So again, I know that if I start out with a negative and there's an absolute value around it, then it will turn positive. So what I want to do is I want to set it up as a split right away. Ready? I'm going to say that I have a less than, and this is a negative 11. And I have a greater than, and this is the 11 that I was given. So this is the original part of the problem. And this is the part where I am changing it up to take into account the fact that I could take the absolute value of the quantity 8 plus x. And let's use algebra to help us solve this now. So I'm going to minus 8, I'm going to minus 8. Turns out that x needs to be less than negative 19 if I want to get the correct solution. Over here, I'm going to minus 8, I'm going to minus 8, or x needs to be greater than 3. And what I like, again, about setting it up this way is watch how easy it is. This number is always smaller than the other number because I set it up with a negative sign over there. Right here, that will be my bigger number. And watch me split them. Ooh, I'll do it in 2 colors this time because I'm remembering that. open hole, open hole. I'm splitting away, I'm splitting away, and I'm splitting away, I'm splitting away. So everything that's in those directions are solutions to my problem. Do we want to check to see if I'm right, or do we want to check to see if I'm wrong? We might as well check to see what happens at at 0. If we check to see what happens at 0, if I'm false, if I get an answer false, that means that I know that the other region is indeed my answer. So let's try it. Try 0. Is it a solution? Well, let's throw in a 0 where x was and check to see if I get a value that is greater than 11. What's 8 plus 0? It is 8. What's the absolute value of 8? It is definitely not bigger than 11. Okay, well, you're like, I don't know. I want to see a solution now. Okay, solution could be over here. Somewhere around here is 10, right? I could throw 10 in there. Let's see what happens if I throw in a 10. The absolute value of 8 plus 10. If I take the absolute value of that, do I get something that's bigger than 11? Well, yes, 18 is definitely bigger than 11. Check. You said, well, this side works. I see that you figured out that this side works, but how do I know if that side works? Why don't we pick a negative number over here? Okay, fine. I'm going to pick negative 20. It's still on the number line. I could see it. It'd be easy to plug it in. Here's negative 20. I'm going to say that I have the absolute value of x minus 20. Remember, 20 is negative. But I am going to take the absolute value of that. Let's see. 8 minus 20 is negative 12. What is the absolute value of negative 12? Is it bigger than 11? Indeed it is. 12 is bigger than 11. Check. So we've definitely found both solutions. And I believe this method is the easiest one to learn, honestly. You think about it in advance. Are you setting up a sandwich or are you setting up a split? You set them up the way I've done, the graphing just flows right that.